again. This is Deepa. If you are tuning in for the first time in this video, do watch my earlier one where I have given intro about me and how my journey started. In this video, I would like to talk about how atypia or discovery of ADH in my biopsy outcome led to lumpectomy and what was the result after that. So, as I shared earlier, one of the calcification biopsy showed atypia, ADH, which is atypia hyperplasia. I'm forgetting the term. It's basically abnormal cell growth. Any abnormal cell growth is it not does not directly translate to cancer, but they represent a high risk for something going on, because corneal biopsy is can involve sampling error. Now, when they take a sample in the biopsy, they might have missed the actual cells that may be cancerous. They might have taken sample from just the outside where cells are still changing. So that's why. When typically atypia is discovered as part of the breast um, biopsy, it is recommended to remove any abnormal cell growth and further investigate them for any hidden DCIS. And it is said that typically 20 to 30% chance of folks finding out DCIS post the surgery, if the DCA was hiding behind it, and only the sample took very surface level outside, growing changing cells. So that was the recommendation for me. And before even going into the surgery, that there is a risk predictor, with some algorithm. That algorithm takes into account age, um, family history, early late menopause, early menstrual start, various factors like that, and computes a risk percentage of a woman for a breast cancer in their lifetime. And mine came out to be high, and it was really surprising for me because, as I shared, I don't have a family history, and none of those factors that they are looking out, I was a candidate for. I had my first kid in my 20s, and I've never taken any hormonal pills or treatments. So nothing typical. I don't consume alcohol, and don't have any health issues myself. So in spite of all that, the algorithm predicted a very high lifetime risk for cancer, which was interesting for me. And the only thing that influenced at that point for this atypia cells that they identified in biopsy, that was also part of the algorithm. So the doctor suggested that I do lumpectomy to surgically excise these abnormal cells that were present. So by the term lumpectomy, usually people associate that only folks with lumps will remove it, but it's basically the same procedure, and that's used to remove this abnormal cell growth. And I was told that post the surgery they will present the cells, tissues that were removed for pathology, and there is a 30% chance that it might be upgraded to having DCIS or breast cancer. So with that information, I went in that journey. In terms of lumpectomy, what to expect is it's a basically outpatient procedure. One doesn't have to stay in the hospital. They can come home back the same day. It is done under anesthesia, but not a full anesthesia. At least the one that I went through involved something called MAC, modified anesthesia, where my body is still breathing for me, but I'm completely unconscious, and do not know anything that's going on. and anesthesiologist present the entire time the procedure is happening. And the total duration it took for the procedure was close to an hour. And in my case, before the surgery, I went, I was recommended to do a MRI, where with the where they inject ink, with IV, and that provides a very contrast picture, and gives the surgeon an idea of how much tissue needs to be removed in this part of surgery, or any other lymph nodes are affected or not, things like that. And for me, it was identified that nothing else is affected, just that particular area was highlighted for them. So I was told about 3 centimeters worth of tissue would be taken. And in my mind, I had a lot of close to, as I was going closer to the surgery date, like things like, oh, how would the appearance be? Will I have a dip, or would it look abnormal? It did feel very um, weird and a bit scary. Like you're gonna lose part of your body part, right? And this tissue doesn't grow back. And so my surgeon told me that they will move the flaps tissues around to make it look like aesthetically it's okay, it's not bad. So I did not have any involvement of plastic surgeon or anything else at this point, just the oncosurgeon. Oncosurgeon is the one who is primarily doing this surgery of lumpectomy. um, in my surgery, on the day, I went in. It started early in the morning, and I was given, after uh, the first step is to cleanse and be free of any contamination and whatnot. And then I was given IV, and anesthesia, to um, be ready for the surgery. And after the anesthesiologist, when they said they are giving the medication, they expected it to sting, and it did sting. So I was like, what is going on? Why is it sting? And I was told that it was something called propofol, and uh, it has a specific component. When it travels through our blood, it gives you the stinging feeling. But it didn't last long. I was out after that particular moment, and I just woke up in the recovery room after that. The recovery from the lumpectomy surgery itself was okay for me. I followed all the directions given by the surgeon, like in terms of not lifting the arm, which side the surgery happened, or not lifting any weight, and taking enough rest, and follow whatever the exercise for the slow movement of my arms and hands in the next weeks to come. So I was able to recover well from that. Now, the pathology result came, and it usually takes about 7 days post surgery. And in my case, I got upgraded to DCIS. They found carcinogenic cells, and they tested the tissues that were extracted, from the surgery. And though, this was all presented to me earlier, to expect a 30% chance and whatnot, I never imagined once that I would be part of that 30%. And that also meant I'm part of the 12% of the women that can get breast cancer, in their lifetime. And the first thing that hits you is why, how, right? Did I do anything wrong? Did I not do something? How did I get here? Why did this happen to me? All those things process. It took at least few days for me to completely absorb this, digest this, and and think about next steps. The truth is that nobody knows how and why someone gets cancer. There are, various factors that contribute to it, environmental factors, anything. I mean, so it's a pure, flying blind sort of thing in terms of why or how. You just have to accept the fact that it is there, and just be glad that we caught it early and be able to take next steps to stay on top. So when it comes to the diagnosis itself, so I was told I have it's a DCIS, which is basically ductal carcinoma in situ, which is basically cancerous cell growth within the milk ducts. So um, there are two things they use to describe the stage and grade. Stage 0 is what I had. That means it is non invasive, it is confined to the milk ducts. Now, if I didn't take any action, and eventually the growth will continue to happen and break out of the ducts and become invasive into the breast and again, further go into my body. Now, so stage 0 means non invasive, that's what I had. Now, there is also something called grade 1, 2, 3, which is low, intermediate, and high, I believe. Um, I had the low grade, which means that the growth is not aggressive. Like the growth of the abnormal cells is pretty slow. It takes time to grow, so it's not aggressive. But if somebody is, I guess, diagnosed with a high grade, that would mean that they need to take action immediately, because in their case it's aggressive growth. That's my understanding of it. That's what the outcome of lumpectomy. So now I was presented with a situation that, okay, where does this lead further? Now I've already taken out the abnormal cells from the lump from the breast. So where does that lead me next? So the next step was to there are few paths, right? Like one is radiation. The another path is very aggressive solution of mastectomy. Now, before we go into those options, so then what are some steps or tests that can be done to figure out where do we go? That was the next step I had. I'll share more about the next steps, from lumpectomy in the next video.